Hello learners, welcome to the course Migrated Women's Literature. Our today's lecture is about the short story Till the Earth, which is written by Manjeshree Thapa. Manjeshree Thapa was born in 1960 in Kathmandu, Nepal. She is a fiction writer, an essayist, an editor as well as a translator. Manjeshree Thapa's father was a former foreign minister of Nepal and her mother was a public health expert. She had studied at St. Mary's School in Kathmandu and later on she migrated to America for her further schooling, where she completed her master's degree in fine arts. Her major works focus on the themes like rerouting, alienation, nostalgia, cultural clash, and assimilation. Manjeshree Thapa had finished her studies in America and later on she had shifted to Canada. So we find a presentation of different cultures in her writings. She is considered to be the first Nepali writer who wrote in English. In 2009, she had published her book Till the Earth, which is a collection of short stories, and we have one of the stories from that same book in our syllabus. Her first book, Mustang Bought in Fragments, was published in 1992. Manjeshree Thapa is famous for her work Forget Kathmandu and Elegy for Democracy, which was published in the year 2005. While talking about her major works, we see that she has written various works on different themes. In 2001, she has published her book The Tutor of History. The story here revolves around the election campaign in Nepal. Another work, All of Us in Our Own Lives, was published in 2016, while The Lives We Have Lost had come in 2012, which itself was a very famous work. Let us talk about the short story Till the Earth. Till the Earth is a story that presents a young woman who belongs to Nepal and has migrated to America. We find a reflection of author's own infatuation for her motherland in this short story, which is titled as Till the Earth. In Nepal, that young girl had fallen in love with her professor who is 14 years older to her, and that man belongs to another caste. So while representing this love angle, Manjeshree Thapa has introduced the theme of interfaith marriages in Nepal. And she also talks about cultural restrictions as well as familial pressure. The narrator here in this story, Till the Earth, knew that her parents would not accept this interfaith relationship. That's why she had discussed this thing with her lover, who had suggested her to migrate to America so that they can marry there and settle there later on. So the concept of interfaith marriages is introduced here, and it also shows the difference between two cultures. While that young girl is in Nepal, she knows that her relationship would not be accepted by anyone, neither by her family nor by the society. And she also knows that in America, no one would be bothered about her marriage with a man from a different caste. So in this way, we see that Manjeshree Thapa has shown the theme of interfaith marriages in the South Asian families who do not accept such marriages very easily. Another theme that Manjeshree Thapa has presented here is presentation of familial pressure. The girl decides to migrate to America because of the pressure from her family. Next thing we notice here is cultural restrictions. Manjeshree Thapa has presented two cultures here. The one is her motherland's culture, that is the culture of Nepal. The other is the culture of the host land, which is America here, and both the cultures are totally different. Here in this short story, we see a presentation of the first world and the third world. Manjeshree Thapa discusses the motherland where the girl used to live and the classroom where she used to study was under the sun with limited resources. Whereas this second land, that is the place where she has migrated to, which is the host country in Seattle. Here she notices that there are better resources and many opportunities. Another example that we find here, which creates a comparison between the third world and the first world, is when the girl reveals to her friends that she is 26 years old but she has never tasted alcohol before. So this revelation shows the cultural difference. In Nepal, it is considered immoral if a woman consumes alcohol, while in America, taking alcohol is a normal thing. The girl and her professor lover, together they formulate a plan where girl has to go to America, and after some months the man will also join her and marry her. Their plan of marrying in America reflects in Western countries Their plan of marrying in America reflects that in Western countries no one questions interfaith marriages. Here, the girl explores many new horizons and learns global values. She also improves her English and comes out of her shell, which was stopping her from communicating with other students of her class. Next thing that we notice in this short story is a presentation of cultural comparison. As I have already said, Manjeshree Thapa has presented two different cultures in this short story, Tilled Earth. She talks about the culture of Nepal. At the same time, she creates images from the culture, that is American culture. These two people, when decide to migrate to America and marry there, it shows that in Western countries no one questions interfaith marriages. Another difference that we notice is that both the countries, both the cultures are totally opposite to each other with reference to tradition, language, customs, beliefs, etc. Whereas in one culture, interfaith marriage is considered a taboo. In the other culture, no one is bothered about this thing. So, we notice a presentation of two different cultures with different concepts, customs, beliefs and traditions. It is very particular of the diasporic communities to create a comparison between the two cultures, the culture of the motherland and the culture of the host country. And in this short story also we notice the same thing. Manjeshree Thapa has created a comparison between the culture of her motherland and the culture where the protagonist has migrated. So, when the narrator notices this comparison, when she notices the difference between these two cultures, she gets bewildered on seeing this difference between two nations. Next thing that Manjeshree Thapa has highlighted in this short story is about linguistic issues. In America, the narrator is living in a rented room. Her roommates speak too fast that she could not find herself following the speed of their tongue. She finds herself so alone because of this linguistic difference that she starts talking to herself in mother tongue, that is Nepali. At different moments, she tries to talk about her life in Nepal to her roommates. Mariana, who is at various moments, the girl tries hard to mix up with the people of this land. She tries to discuss different things with her classmates as well as housemates, but she again faces that same barrier which is created by the difference of language. She wants to talk about her life in Nepal to her housemate Mariana, who is from Russia. But Mariana is never interested in knowing about the protagonist. She feels irritated when the girl tells her about her homeland. So, the protagonist wishes Mariana to be an Indian instead of Russian, as Nepali and Indian cultures have some similarities. Another important thing to be noticed here in this short story is the use of different new words. We find that the first paragraph starts with the use of new words. In the very first paragraph, we come across the word that is antipodes, which means two places opposite to each other. Here, the word antipodes refers to the two countries that are Nepal and America. These two places are different from each other. The concepts, the values, the beliefs and the traditions of both the places are totally opposite to each other. In the second paragraph, there is a word bolt hole, which means a hole or a place in the ground where an insect or a flea can hide. So, in this story, bolt hole refers to the girl's situation and her problems that arise due to the difference of language, difference in traditions and culture. We also notice another word that is caldera, meaning a large volcanic crater or depression. Again here the word is very much symbolic of the girl's situation. She tells her friend Jenny about her lover who is a professor. This girl receives letters from her parents, but she waits for her lover's letter. And later on in the story, we notice that when she receives the letter, she starts feeling numb because she finds herself getting unused to Nepali. So, this is a kind of a transition which we notice where the girl has moved from her mother tongue to the language of the host country. So, initially she was longing to talk to someone in Nepali, but when she has mastered the language that is English, she feels a kind of disconnection and she also gets disturbed after receiving that letter from her lover. In the next paragraph, we find the word dell, which means a small valley. Here, her friend Jenny is there for her, and when she tells Jenny about the stories of her motherland, Jenny very interestingly listens to all those stories. So, here the narrator creates a kind of comparison between the two cultures, Nepali culture and American culture. And the term dell refers to the difference between the two cultures. In the fifth paragraph, we come across the word errand of mercy. Here we see that the girl has started communicating with fellow Americans in English, and she has met a Baptist preacher's family who take her around and tell her about the city. But later in the story, the girl starts avoiding that family because they make her feel much foreigner. This is again very typical of diasporic communities who try hard to become a part of the host country. The condition of this girl here in this story symbolically represents the condition of diasporic communities in any foreign country where initially they feel disturbed because of differences in culture, tradition, and language, and then later on they overcome all those differences and long for becoming a part of the native culture. Here in this paragraph, we see that the girl has tried to overcome this comparison phase, and after some time she has succeeded in her efforts. Another word that we notice in this story is feud. Here the girl admits that American education system is better than Nepali education system. The word graphicacy talks about the pangs of nostalgia. Whenever the girl talks about her lover and homeland, she experiences all those pains of nostalgia. In this paragraph, we notice that the girl tries to overcome this comparison phase, and instead of calling her lover, she decides to call her cousin, who gives her a number of instructions to live in America and to become a part of this new country. Here we see that the lover instructs the girl to get a job, and she finds a job there where she meets new people, Dennis and Matt. The company of these two people bring a drastic change in her life. Now, this change has brought a transition in the character of this protagonist. She becomes more independent, she starts wearing Western clothes, she finds herself whole new. And now she has tasted that freedom. The cultural difference of these two countries that was stopping her from doing a certain things, the girl has overcome that difference and she has started living and behaving just like American people. So this transitional phase has resulted in her not talking much to her lover, instead looking forward to achieve something good and something new for herself in her life. So the main reason behind her sadness, which happened when she has received the letter from her lover which read that he would be joining her soon, was a feeling that she would lose her freedom again. Because she knows that in Nepal women do not have freedom as they have here in America. And she also knows that marrying her lover would be the loss of her new freedom and her newly achieved identity. So the protagonist decides not to marry him, and she also decides that she would rewrite her story, and now she would not become a Nepali again. Instead, she chooses to remain an American. So, towards the end of the story, we see that the girl has taken a decision to remain a migrant rather than a Nepali who remains trapped in the circle of lots of myths, taboos in the name of customs, rituals and traditions. So, she prefers to remain in that new life, she prefers to be independent, she prefers to follow those traditions, customs and rituals which would allow her freedom. Let us talk about the significance of the title Tilled Earth. Title of the story is about a place where agriculture is the main occupation. For farming or agriculture activities, we have to till the earth and sow some seeds that could grow into a good harvest. The title signifies the place where the writer comes from as well as the protagonist comes from. When we water the earth, there is this soothing smell which relaxes human soul, and this smell creates a kind of connection with the homeland. The title also talks about that same connection. we see that the mind of the protagonist is divided into two parts. One is present in the homeland, that is Nepal, and the second is present in the new land, that is America. The title of the story also signifies protagonist's condition to the past life and her connection with her roots. Roots metaphorically talk about connection and literally talk about support system of a plant. Just like the root, the memory of her homeland works as a support system for her in this new country. So the title of this story signifies the connection of the protagonist with her homeland and the support which she has brought in the form of different memories from her homeland. That is all for today's lecture. We will connect again in some other lectures. Thank you.